This is ZZ Top's Cheap Sunglasses, playing me into my new episode of my show, Dylan Knows. I'm back from vacation. Thank you, ZZ Top. I'm back from vacation and ready to tell you all about it, even though you probably don't give a damn. Or you're watching Shark Week on Sci-Fi, which we will talk about this week also. Or you'll be doing other stuff as well. Who knows? Maybe Preacher, Walking Dead. Who knows? I should say Fear the Walking Dead. Anyway, this is Dylan Knows, and I am your host, Dylan. I'm just clearing out some of my email here. Came back on from vacation yesterday. So it was okay. Which is a little bit more relaxing, but still it was fun to have the whole family together. We haven't really done a all-family vacation for a long period of time. I don't think ever, maybe, because we always used to go to the ocean with my wife's family. So we're surrounded by family, which is fine also because it's a lot more fun, actually, to be honest, because the kids have their cousins who are about their same age, and they can play with them. And Dawn is with her family, so she can hang out with them, and I get to chill out and do my own stuff, read comics, hang out by the pool, the ocean, whatever. So I kind of missed that this year, but all in all, we did some educational stuff, did a lot of walking, sweated a lot of stuff out of our systems. So it was probably the worst week to go on vacation since the temperature here in the mid-Atlantic was consistently in the mid-90s with high humidity and high sun and occasional afternoon thunderstorms while we were out in the middle of it. So it happens, but we're going to talk about that, but that's not what we're going to talk about. We got a whole lot of stuff to talk about. I'm doing it on Sunday because I wanted to get it done this weekend. I got to go to work tomorrow, so I really can't stay up too late. So I'm hoping that if I get this done now and I can get this done before 11, I can get to bed. I know I'm old, but maybe I can get it done quicker than that. We'll see. We got some cool stuff. The return of In Dreams. I have some dreams I can talk about. Community Day for Pokemon Go was this week as well. I mentioned Shark Week was this week as well. Change in the Oscars, which is interesting, and some sexy stuff too. So we will get all into that here real quick. I just want to get this pulled up here because I'm sure I'm not going to have anybody who is going to be following the show this week. So I'm going to pull this up right now because actually, no, I'll do it right now. Actually, let's see if I can. So as I mentioned before, this is Shark Week on Sci-Fi. I'm a member of the Snark Alex, which is a group that we got together by watching these ridiculous movies on Sci-Fi and making fun of them. And we soon grew into a tight-knit family, and always looking forward to the weekend where we would be looking for there we go. Shark Week begins. Just watching these movies and just hanging out with everybody. It was really, really kind of cool. So, we would do these every week, it seemed like, and it was funny. Lots of it was funny. And then we got to meet each other outside of Twitter, and we became friends that way. And so we've continued doing it that way. But then Sci-Fi threw a curveball at us, and they decided, hey, we're not going to do these movies as often as we used to. We're going to focus more on our TV shows. So we sort of gotten away from that stuff. But every once in a while they do this. Now I'm wondering if this is going to be the last Shark Week because this is the last Sharknado, which comes out next weekend. We're going to talk about that right now, but we'll talk about the schedule right now for that. So Sci-Fi actually, their Shark Week starts today. Actually started an hour ago, 8 o'clock, with the sequel Deep Blue Sea 2. I don't like when movies start 8 o'clock because that's kiddie bedtime, and my wife and I have to help get the kids to bed and so on and so forth. So we usually can't get out until after 9 o'clock, or close to 9 o'clock. So we'll miss the first hour of this. So I said I'll skip this one, but all the rest of them the rest of the week are 9 o'clock. So today is Deep Blue Sea. It's going on right now as we speak. Tomorrow is Megalodon at 9 p.m. A military vessel on the search for an unidentified submersible finds themselves face-to-face with a giant shark, forced to use only what they have on board to defend themselves from the monstrous beast. Obviously, in conjunction with the movie Meg that made $45.5 million at the box office this week. So this is their version of it. This is going to be the big movie. Forget the last Sharknado. This one's going to be the big one. Tuesday, 9 p.m. Every one of you out there has to be watching this. Santa Jaws. Trying to survive the family Christmas, Cody makes a wish to just be alone, which ends up backfiring when a shark manifests and kills his entire family. That just sounds like a really awesome movie, and I'm looking forward mostly to that one. Wednesday at 9 p.m., we have Frenzy. After a plane crash, a woman must survive a pack of killer sharks. So probably a woman by herself dealing with killer sharks. This one might be a little boring, but it could be fun. Thursday at 9 p.m., we have Nightmare Shark. This one's really interesting, too. A group of shark attack survivors are hunted by a supernatural shark that haunts their dreams. So it's basically Freddy Krueger, but if he was a shark. They don't do anything Friday because Fridays are their shows. They do Winona Earp and some of the other shows that they do. So no movie Friday. Saturday the 18th, you get, at 9 p.m., you get Six-Headed. Yes, that's what I said. Six-Headed Shark Attack. I interviewed the director of Four-Headed Shark Attack, I think, a couple of years ago. And Kelly Toole and I did a show about Five-Headed Shark Attack last year. So now we have Six-Headed Shark Attack at 9 o'clock on Saturday. What is supposed to be a marriage boot camp on a remote island turns into the ultimate test for survival when a six-headed shark starts attacking the beach. Trapped with minimal weapons, they try to fight off the shark, but quickly discover that no one is safe in the water or on the land. So that's interesting. And then this all culminates on August 19th at 10 o'clock, which is weird because that's a Sunday night at 10 o'clock. They're going to do the last Sharknado. We'll have to verify and make sure that that's correct, but that just seems like a really weird time for the last Sharknado, particularly on a Sunday with no holiday afterwards. So whatever will be, I guess. So, I don't need that actually. You can turn that off and I'll pop this off. So if anyone does tweet me, it'll pop up. I don't think anybody will because it's Sunday, 9 o'clock, and they're probably either in bed, getting ready for bed, watching Deep Blue Sea 2, or other stuff as well. So that's Shark Week here for Sci-Fi. So took care of that one real quick. So definitely want you all to check that out. I will be doing live tweeting of probably all of those as much as I can this week. So should be a lot of fun. Could be a long week because they'll be over by 11 o'clock. So I'll probably be going to bed by 11 o'clock every day this week, except for Friday. But even then, I'll be going to bed at 11 o'clock anyway because I do on Friday. Next up, we have another movie, which I've talked about movies that I want to see that, if Sci-Fi was still doing stuff like that, they might pop them up. I don't know where this one is going to show up or even if it is going to show up, but it's just another general great idea again. This one is a Christmas zombie movie. Now, zombie movies have been our forte here at the Snark Alex, and this one is a variation of it where it takes place at Christmas time, and you're taking on zombies around Christmas time, and that's just kind of a neat idea, particularly with Santa Jaws, and you can make a nice little killing with multiple Christmas horror bad movies. So, yeah, talk about this one too. This is kind of cool. So, getting off of movies and stuff like that. And for my one viewer, hello. Thank you for joining me. You missed the Sci-Fi Shark Week schedule and the zombie Christmas movie that is coming out soon or is out or whatever. I don't know. So that's okay. We got a lot more cool stuff coming up. Next up this is actually kind of interesting. Where did I see that? A bottle opener that lets you fire the cap. Now, it was one of the things where, just say it's a beer bottle, and you pop it open, and it slides to this chamber, and then you go, boom, and it shoots out like a little disc thing, and you can shoot at the trash, you can shoot it at friends, you can shoot it at empty bottles, whatever. And that just seems like a really neat idea, and hopefully it'll be available all across the world and not just online. So keep an eye out for that. No, not talking about that yet. Water park for dogs. Now, that's another idea that you had to think, why didn't anybody think of this sooner? You have your dog parks where you take your dogs and they can run free and rampant, chase sticks, chase other dogs, play with their other dog friends or whatever, play fetch, whatever they want to do. It gives them a chance to get some exercise and you a little bit of a break. So, you can socialize with other dog owners and stuff like that, or just chill by yourself and just watch your dog rumble around and play, and gives them a chance to just get out and get some of that excess energy out of them. Well, now they're doing water parks for dogs, which again is not a bad idea, because water parks for cats isn't going to work, because cats really don't like water. But water parks for dogs, why not? Dogs love water parks and water in general, and this is a way that people can take their dogs with them on like a vacation, and you can go and do water parking with your dog. So I think it's a pretty good idea, and good job on that, whoever created that. All right. Now I'm going to combine it with something else. Thanos signature bathrobe and slippers. That was something I found on Facebook. I guess it's a robe that looks like Thanos' armor. I don't know what the slippers look like, because they didn't show a picture of it. But, I guess everything's going crazy with Avengers Infinity War, which, by the way, I know it's out on digital now, but if you're not a digital guy like me, I like to have the actual disc in hand, Blu-ray, DVD, whatever. That comes out Tuesday on DVD/Blu-ray. So I will be over at Target. I will be buying my copy of Avengers Infinity War, and I'll be watching it. Maybe not Tuesday, because I'll be watching Santa Jaws, but sometime maybe this weekend I'll be watching it. Also, next week would be the 21st, right? 14th, 7 days, 21st. The 21st, Deadpool 2 will come out on DVD and Blu-ray. That's out. I think it came out this week on digital. So, in a couple weeks, it comes out on Blu-ray. So that comes out on the 21st. So you've got Avengers Infinity War on the 14th, and you've got Deadpool 2 on the 21st. So, wonderbar. So, Thanos signature bathrobe and slippers. So if you're really into that stuff, then go for it. A pub inside a 2,000-year-old tree. Why not? You don't want to tear down the tree. Tearing down trees is bad. It's bad. This is a 2,000-year-old tree. It's one of those real big, giant ones. Hey, you carve out a little bit in there, big enough. It's big enough, deep enough. Get in there. You can have yourself a nice little pub, and be like you're a hobbit hanging out in the wilderness, drinking brewskis and having a good old time. So, so you know what? I just missed this. Speaking of Christmas, I talked about Christmas zombies. I talked about Santa Jaws. Science says people who hang up their Christmas decorations early are happier. Yes, indeed, because it pisses off their neighbors who are like, why the hell are they putting up Christmas lights so early? I put my Christmas lights up the day after Thanksgiving, because Thanksgiving is, to me, should be its own separate holiday. I don't think we need to dive right into Christmas on November 1st, right after Halloween. But that's the case, seems to be the case. I honestly don't think I've ever seen Christmas decorations up on November 1st, but I've seen them around the 8th and the 10th before. There was a house that I used to drive by when I went to work that would always have them out like really, really early. But yeah, normally, because I have a 4-day weekend on Thanksgiving, I get the Christmas tree up, get the decorations out, decorate the interior of the house. Usually have we're going to be getting probably a new inflatable, because our Minions inflatable that I got last year and put out last year got destroyed somehow. I don't know, winds, snow, rain, something wrecked it. I don't quite exactly know what happened to it, but it doesn't inflate anymore. So it's been junked. But we saw some really cool ones at the Christmas Mouse, which I'll get into in a little bit. That's a vacation recap storyline. But you know what? Christmas is, and to me, that's what the holidays are all about. I'm a holiday guy. I like holidays, stuff like that. I've been saying for years that Halloween is my favorite holiday, but now gradually with kids, stuff like that, I'm beginning to like Christmas a little bit more. But here's the thing, both with Halloween and with Christmas, it's really kind of, and to be honest, with really anything, with Easter, kind of 4th of July, it's really the lead up. Mostly for Christmas and Halloween, it's the lead up to the holiday. The whole month of October, which is probably, if you had to choose one month of the whole year. Personally, I think October is probably the best month of the year, because it's cool. Football's in play. Halloween comes up at the end, and it's just a crisp, wonderful time of the year. But that's besides the point. But right around October, beginning of October, you start seeing the Halloween decorations go up. You start seeing the commercials on TV for Halloween candy and Halloween stuff, and they're all Halloween themed ones, and Halloween movies and stuff like that. Freeform does their 30 Days of Halloween or something like that. Disney does that as well. And so you get all that, and it's a build-up. So it gets building upon the Halloween's coming, Halloween coming. Oh, yeah, get your decorations out, see everything's like there. And then Halloween hits, and it's great. No, it is. It's great. You get out there, you wear your costume, you get candy. At work, we have a potluck dinner, so that's always fun, and a costume contest, which is a lot of fun. And we do all that stuff. And then you go out, you get your candy, and then around 8 o'clock at night, okay, that's it. We got all this candy, and we just decorated and stuff like that, and Halloween's done. And then, you leave, nobody else is coming around, and then, the kids go to bed, and I just stare out the window sometimes, and it's quiet, and there's no kids around after having a massive amount of kids come through our neighborhood on Halloween. Massive amount. It's quiet. There's no one walking around with Halloween decoration or Halloween costumes on. People are already taking down some of their Halloween decorations, stuff like that. And then before you know it, November hits. Now, November is, like, to me, is always like kind of a stark month, because Thanksgiving, while it's a great holiday, and I love Thanksgiving, I did a whole episode about Thanksgiving, so you can check that on my YouTube page. Go to the Dylan Knows playlist, and you'll find it somewhere in the middle. Somewhere. I've done 254 episodes. It's somewhere in the middle. But it just, right after Halloween, November sort of becomes colder, bleaker. The leaves that were so prevalent in October, which is another reason why October is great, have all started to fall down now. Not all of them, but half the tree has leaves still in it. The other half are just the sickly, wintry branches. The sky always seems to be kind of a grayish hue going to it, and it gets colder. And then you get down to Thanksgiving, and Thanksgiving is great and all that, and then bam, it's Christmas. So technically you start seeing Christmas stuff in the beginning of November, but then bam, it's Christmas all the time. Bam, 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 bam. The bright lights. And that's where it gets different again. So while November is sleek and stark and dark and stuff like that, December is all lights and magic and Santa and presents and trees and snow and stuff like that. And it becomes glorious. And then you're leading up to Christmas with all these Christmas movies and Christmas lights and Christmas music and Christmas decorations and buying the presents and getting your Christmas Eve dinner set and Christmas Day dinner set and also set. And then it's Christmas Eve. Christmas Eve is like the culmination, is like the ultimate, is the climax of Christmas. It's not Christmas Day, but Christmas Eve is the climax because everything's been building to Christmas Eve. The kids are excited that Santa's coming soon, so they want to go to bed quickly. They want to put, cookies and milk out for the kids. You usually have maybe a Christmas Eve dinner. Like our tradition in our family is the kids always do. Our church does a manger scene mass on Christmas Eve, usually in the afternoon. So it's not in the evening. So it's like 3 o'clock in the afternoon. So for about an hour and a half, you're at mass and you have the manger scene. Your kids go up there. They're dressed up as angels or sheep or wise men or whatever. And you have mass for Christmas for the Catholics, which is good because on Christmas morning, you really don't want to get up, and go to mass. So that's why we like to go Christmas Eve mass, because like we get our Christmas, in, and then Christmas Eve we can sleep in. We can, well, not sleep in, but we can open our presents. We can have a nice Christmas breakfast if we're going to my family's house or my in-laws' house or whatever. You get that breakfast up. But Christmas Eve, so they have that. So after that, we have our family over for dinner, and usually we have a nice dinner. And again, it's just the feeling of the buildup of Christmas. You can feel it building up that Santa's coming soon, and the kids are getting excited. You're getting excited, and Christmas Story is on TV, and Christmas music is building, and Mass has happened, and it is an absolutely glorious moment. And then Christmas morning comes. And it's fun in the morning when the kids come down. They're so excited to see their stuff, and they tear through their presents and they open them, and they're excited, and you see what you get and see how happy your wife is from what you got her and what Santa got her. And you're so happy to see what the kids got, and they're all excited and everything like that. And then it's just quiet, which is nice too. I sit on my chair, I drink some coffee, I look at my Christmas presents, or I look at my phone and do whatever and just relax and have fun. And it's happy. And again, to my point is, putting Christmas decorations up early makes people happier because you have this feeling, this lead up to Christmas. And then once Christmas is over, you have generally about a week through New Year's for the most part, because you can't see all your family usually on Christmas Eve or Christmas Day. You might have to spread out to that next weekend or sometime during the week if you're lucky enough to be off that week or whatever, or have a day off here and there. So Christmas is able to be spread a little bit through that last week of December. And then January hits after New Year's, and now you're like, ugh, I got to clean all this stuff up now. So everything that you've been so excited and happy about and looking forward to now is now the longest away of the year it is now. It is January 2nd. And so Christmas is now 350 some days away. That's still a really long time. You still got the whole year to go through. So you go back to work, you go back to school, and the decorations are still there. But now you're like, ugh, I don't want to take these down. So sometimes, like us, we leave them up through like February, sometimes maybe even March. It happens. But then we get them down eventually. We spend a week. It's like, we got to get this stuff down. And we take it down. Then it's like, okay, it's depressing. And then the year progresses and you don't think about it. But now we're at that point. It's mid-August right now. So it's still summer. Christmas is still a little ways off down the line. You still got to get through fall and the beginning of school and all that stuff. But it's starting to tickle a little bit in your head now. And you start thinking, yes, it is nice to see Christmas decorations. And I'll improvise on it. Not improvise. I will talk about it more when I talk about vacation, because there was a lot of Christmas on our vacation, believe it or not. You know what? Actually, that might be a good enough segue in there, because all this other stuff can wait for a little bit. Let's segue to my vacation recap. I'm 20 minutes into the show. Why not? So this past week was my vacation. It's usually around this time of the year anyway. It's just when everything seems to work out. It's like this first full week of August is usually when I'm on vacation. Just the way it works out. Looking on my Facebook memories, it's all like, oh, vacation, and then 5 years later, vacation, and then 6 years later, vacation. So it always seems to be that way, which is fine. I don't mind it. It's late enough in summer that it's not too late, if you know what I'm talking about, or too early rather. June is way too early. July, maybe end of July. I've done that once or twice. That might be okay, but then you got the whole month of August to go. This is the best time to do it for me anyway. This week or the next, or this week upcoming would be the two best weeks, because it's like right in the middle of August. And then once you get back, you've only got a couple more weeks, and then guess what? School starts September, fall, Halloween, Thanksgiving, Christmas, New Year. So usually we go to the beach. And as I said at the beginning of the show, kind of depressed that we didn't go to the beach this year, because the beach to me is really relaxing. Now, it's hard to getting down there because we're going down North Carolina. It takes 8 to 12 hours, depending on traffic and when we leave. But once we get there and once we get into the house, it's glorious for a week, because I get along with my in-laws. My in-laws get along with me. My kids, they have their cousins who are all the same age as them, so they can all play together. My wife loves her family. She can hang out with them, talk, drink, play cards, do what they always goof around, do what they always do. And I entertain in there as well somewhat. But I also spend a lot of time just for me, because Dawn's with her family. The kids are with their cousins. So I'm just sort of like, it's me time. So last year, a good example is there were like 2 days during vacation last year where I spent like 3 to 4 hours just laying in bed reading comics. And I didn't feel bad about it, because my wife was being entertained by her family, because that's what she likes to do. And the kids were having fun with each other doing their own thing. I check on them periodically, get a soda or something, see if everything's going okay. They're like, "Yeah, you doing okay?" "I'm doing good." "All right, good." Go to the beach, which is always fun to go to the beach a couple times during vacation. I'm not an everyday beach guy. I don't think I could handle that. But, a couple times here is pretty cool. We always try to get one with a pool, so go hang out at the pool for a while. We were in Duck last year, so we got to travel around a little bit. So it was kind of, the beach is fun. I like going to the beach. Driving to and driving back are the worst parts of vacation. But once you get through that and you have this week of just doing whatever you want to do, everything seems to be okay. Now, I also kind of feel guilty sometimes, not as much as I was when the kids were younger, but I feel guilty about sleeping in because some of my in-laws are just early birds. They get up at 7 a.m. regardless. I'm sitting here like, man, I just want to sleep till like 9 o'clock. But then I feel guilty that they have to watch the kids and stuff like that. So, or Dawn has to do it, or I don't know. So I was kind of not upset, but I was kind of, I wish I was out, the beach and reading comics and relaxing and doing stuff, me time, stuff like that. But you get the trade-off. I love my family. And we've never really had a vacation that spanned multiple periods of time where it was just the four of us. We've had weekends here and there where we've done stuff like that, but we've never actually had like a vacation where we went somewhere other than the beach by ourselves. Now, when I was growing up, that's all we did, really. I mean, when my parents were still together, my Aunt Jane, Uncle Don, they live in Ocean City, New Jersey, with my cousins, Ben and Amanda. Amanda's literally 2 weeks younger than I am. And then my cousin Ben is about three years younger than I am. So, we would go to Ocean City, New Jersey. And the way my dad worked it out was we'd be there for the week, go on Saturday, leave on Saturday. So it's technically like 7 days. We'd spend like 4 of those days doing our own thing. We'd be at a hotel, maybe three to 4 of those days. We'd be at a hotel on the boardwalk in Ocean City, New Jersey, just the 4 of us, doing the pool, doing the beach, doing the boardwalk, riding bikes, doing stuff like that. And then we would go and spend the second half of the week at my aunt and uncle's house. So we'd spend the last three days at my aunt and uncle's house. They would take us to their beach and we'd have fun, play games and watch TV and wrestle and play with their dog and do all kinds of cool stuff with them during that period. So we did that almost every year. So that was just the 4 of us. And then when my parents got separated, we did our various things here. Like we went with my mom and her boyfriend to Ocean City, Maryland a bunch of times. With my dad at that time was married to his second wife. He's been married 3 times, his second wife. And her best friend is a travel agent. So we would do big travel. So we went out once. We flew out to Seattle. We went up into Vancouver, into Canada. Back when you just had to cross, you just cross the border and not worry about anything. Didn't need anything. Just ride right through, say, okay. Vancouver, Victoria Island, and then drove down through Oregon and then ended up in San Francisco, spent a few days in San Francisco and flew back home. And then another time we flew out to Denver. We did Denver, drove up to Yellowstone, Grand Teton, and then drove back down to Boulder, Colorado, and then Denver, and flew out of there. We also flew up to Boston a few times and came back down also. So we did a lot of trips like that. And so, again, it was just really the 4 of us. We never really went on vacations with our family. I mean, as I said, the exception of my aunt, uncle, and my cousins, we saw them half of our vacation. There was one year that I went down with my dad's side of the family where we have a ton of grandkids. They're all younger than I am. And my aunts, my uncles, but not my mom, my dad, or my sister. They just wanted me to help, get the kids occupied so the grown-ups could have their own little thing, which was fine. I did it. It was a free trip. I didn't have to pay anything. I was driven down, and the house was right on the beach, had a pool. It was glorious. So that was really the only time I did that. So normally I was used to being just, family. And then I met Dawn, and our first vacation together was just the 2 of us. And then gradually, as I started getting ensconced in the family, we started going to Delaware, was where we do the beaches at Delaware, Bethany, and so on and so forth. And then those grew a little bit stale after a while. So they said, hey, let's try North Carolina. So that's when we got into North Carolina, and we did it almost every year. There are a few times we didn't due to various reasons, money-wise, timing-wise, marriage-wise, whatever. And then, of course, Dawn and I did our honeymoon, which is our vacation, just two of us. So up until that point, we've never really done, as I said, a long-term vacation with the whole family. Well, this was our first one. I think we did okay. We stayed local-ish. I'm about, I don't know, maybe 50, 70 miles, not even that far, 50 miles probably from Washington, D.C., from where I live right now. So it's basically it's right next door. It takes about an hour and 10 minutes to drive down to Washington, D.C. if I go straight to Washington, D.C. My in-laws live in Olney, which is outside of Washington, and there's a metro stop right down the road from their house. So what we end up doing is on Monday, we drove down to that metro stop in Olney. It's the Glenmont, the red line, I guess. Hopped on that and took the red line to L'Enfant Plaza, which drops you off right by the Air and Space Museum. So we did Smithsonian on Monday. So we were in DC on Monday. We did the Air and Space Museum. And then we did the Native American Museum, which I'd never seen before. It's the newest Smithsonian museum, I think. And it is amazing. It's surrounded by trees, so it's sort of like its own little world. And it's got statues and cool stuff on the outside. And you go inside, it's a lot smaller than the other Smithsonians. But of course, they're dealing with more massive amounts of history, where Native American history is sort of condensed a little bit. But there was a lot of really cool, interesting stuff, some historical things as well. And it was just a really neat place. The kids enjoyed it. Dawn and I enjoyed it. So that was really nice. So after that, we did Air and Space first in the Native American Museum, and then we finished up at the Natural History Museum. And of course, the museums closed at 5:30, so the day was sort of compressed. So we only spent a few hours at each one, if that. And then we took the metro back to Glenmont and drove to my in-laws' house, which is, as I said, like 10 minutes away from the metro stop. And we spent the night at their house. So we had Chinese food, and the kids got to see their grandparents, and Dawn got to hang out with their parents. I was just exhausted because, as I'll explain in my final recap, it was lots of walking. I mean, we walked from L'Enfant Plaza to the Air and Space Museum, which is about 2 blocks. And then we did all the Air and Space Museum. We walked all through that. We walked through all the Native American Museum, walked all the way through the Natural History Museum, and walked to and from those. It was in the mid-90s all week, hot, humid, sunny. So sweat pouring off. The heat was just draining the life out of me and the kids. It was hard, but the kids were tough. They didn't really complain or whine all that much, which is really cool. And it was just kind of hard just to get moving, but we had a good time. So then we went to my in-laws, spent the night there, and then took our time, stuff like that. And then we were going to go to the National Zoo on Tuesday. So again, we took the metro, but this time we did like Branch Avenue or something like that. So we drove over there, and we took that one to one of the stops. I forget what it's called, but it's about 2 or 3 blocks from the zoo. So we had to walk uphill in the hot, humid, yucky weather, and then walk the entire National Zoo outside. Now, the Smithsonian's are air conditioned, so it wasn't that bad because it was cooler inside, obviously, than it was outside. But we were outside all day in the Smithsonian, or rather at the zoo, rather. And we did the entire zoo, and that was really interesting. And then we drove back home to our house here in Reisterstown Tuesday night into Wednesday. So spent the night here Tuesday night, and then Wednesday, about 10 o'clock-ish after traffic subsided, we drove to Williamsburg, Virginia. It was exactly a 4-hour trip. And we got a nice hotel not that far from both Busch Gardens and Colonial Williamsburg. It's about halfway between both of them. And it was the perfect spot because there was restaurants all over the place, like multiple different ones, and really cool shops and ice creams and just all kinds. And then, and not just regular restaurants. They had fast food. They had Arby's, McDonald's, Subway, Wendy's, Burger King, Pizza Hut, along with a bunch of, they had an IHOP. They had Carrabba's, Red Lobster, Olive Garden, you know, and then some local stuff like the pancake and waffle houses and some Mexican restaurants and philosophical food restaurant, which is really, we didn't go in, but it's a restaurant that, you know, it's a typical restaurant with regular food, but on the walls like all these philosophical quotes and stuff like that. So pretty interesting. And so Wednesday was just a travel day, so we went and we got ourselves a suite at this place. And there was a pool. So once we got in, we just sort of unpacked and just sort of, because 4 hours is a long drive, hot, sweaty, yucky weather. So we went to dinner. We actually went to Arby's, which is right across the street, and had Arby's, and then came back. The kids went to the pool. And I discovered and went to the Yankee Candle Factory. It's not really the Yankee Candle Factory, but this place, I'm telling you, if you're ever on your way down to Williamsburg, you got to hit this place. Now, everyone knows who's watched this show, I have a soft spot for Yankee candles. I love Yankee candles. I just love smelling all the different scents. I like the different names. I like just being around the candles and wishing I could buy every one of them and lighting every single one of them up. And actually, I got one on right now because the house stinks. And we also have these. I don't think I have one back here. You might not be able to see it, but there's ones that shoot up the scent. I have one of those also. Actually, I should probably check on that because that one might be burning itself out. So I get a bunch of those, and so I walked over to this place while the kids and Dawn were at the pool, and it was like Christmas. You walk in. And it's not at all like I was expecting. It was a Yankee Candle Factory. I thought everything was going to be Yankee Candle. It wasn't. You walked in and there was this big like atrium area that sort of looked like a cellar stall, you know, where it had different like carts and stuff that were selling different things, dragon statues, Halloween pumpkin decorations, Yankee candles, obviously. But they also had a giant Yankee Candle store. Right next to it was a food and kitchen type place that was connected to Yankee Candle. So you had different flavors, types of rubs and coffees and teas and waffle syrups and stuff like that. Then you had your housing decoration stuff. There was a bunch of places that you could decorate your house with, like boards that have quotes on it or pillows and blankets. So like that, there was a section that had Pandora jewelry and other stuff. So it was all these little shops, all confined in this Yankee Candle sort of shop area. And then you had a Christmas store. You had what else did they have? They had popcorn and candy apples and ice cream and fudge. And they had a man cave section, stuff for your man cave, you know, all kinds of decorations and posters and electrical equipment and stuff like that. So it was all these little, and they had a toy shop for the kids with Legos and stuffed animals and stuff like that. So it was all these different myriad different things. But then, you know, of course, the first place I wanted to go to was the Yankee Candle section, which was obviously the biggest store in the lot. And it was just filled with every single Yankee Candle you could think of. They're doing something new where they're bringing back ones that were retired and that they retired a few years ago and haven't been out for years. They're bringing them back. Not all of them, but periodically a few here and there. So I got to see some of those. They had some exclusives you could only get at that store, which I ended up not buying anything. But the New England maple was really, really cool. And they had a Williamsburg pineapple and a Williamsburg blueberry and a New England boysenberry type. So those were like the exclusives. And then they had the new flavors for the fall. They're starting to get their fall stuff ready. And they had Christmas ones, obviously, in the Christmas shop. Now, the Christmas shop was cool. It had decorations. It had, you know, ornaments for your Christmas tree. It had lights. It had manger scenes, inflatables. And then it had a bunch of rooms with the Christmas houses, you know, the ones that light up. They had all those Department 56s. They had a section that had a big giant Santa chair where obviously probably during Christmas itself, Santa probably sits and kids can come in and ask them, you know, tell them what they want for Christmas. And the interior is like night. So it's all dark on the interior when you walk in, and then all the other rooms are like lit up. But you're walking up, there's like up in the ceiling are stars, and there's street lights that give you some light. There's like a little bridge and just kind of a Christmassy type of village type of feel. It snows every 4 minutes in there. There's a section, not through the whole place, but there's a section where it snows every 4 minutes. It's soap bubbles, I think, but it was so cool. You walk in there and you just see the snow coming down by the street light, and it looks like, you know, what you see when it's snowing at night and you look out the street lights and you see the snow coming down. It looked like that. So I took a picture of it with the snow coming down by the street light with the stars up in the sky. It was so cool. And then there was a section in like the home decorating place that had candles that were like 50% off, and these were ones I never heard of before. There were some really cool Halloween ones, Patchouli, which is a patchouli smelling one, Bunilla, which is a vanilla smelling ghost one, a candy corn smelling one. Then they had some Christmas ones in there. They had ones about gardening. They had every type of wine. So they had a Shiraz candle, a Zinfandel candle, a Merlot candle. So they all were different smells when it comes to different types of wines. And they had all these just weird, like Japanese water, which is one I'd never heard of before, also was there too. That smelled pretty good too. So it was just a lot of really neat stuff. I wish I would have spent more money there, but I didn't. Also on the same topic, right across the street from the hotel also was a place called the Christmas Mouse, which I think it's just down in the North Carolina, Virginia area, but it's and you see these all over the place. They're not necessarily called the Christmas Mouse, but you'll see these around resort areas like the Ocean Cities and stuff like that. A Christmas store, which is the whole store is Christmas items, 24/7, 365 days a year. So we've gone to one down North Carolina before, gotten some really nice ornaments there, and now this one was right across the street from our hotel. So we went over there as well, and it was amazing. 2 floors just filled with Christmas stuff. And as I said earlier in the show, you know, science says people who hang up Christmas lights early are happier. We were happy going in there because there was lots of new stuff we never seen before. They have like these new lit up now snow globes that move. So basically it was a snow globe that was lit up that you didn't need to shake. So it was already spinning the snow around, and they had a Christmas scene, and it was gorgeous. And then there was all kinds of really cool decorations and, you know, gifts and stuff like that. There was a wine tree filled with decorations with different cool wine ornaments. There's a Halloween tree upstairs. There's a bunch of Halloween decorations. They have I'd never seen these before. They have Halloween lights. I might have seen them before, but they had like brown, like harvest type lights. So like browns and oranges. And then you had the orange and black Halloween lights and stuff like that. So they were kind of cool. So maybe since this is like the gateway to holiday decorating, maybe we'll be seeing these in the next few months at your local stores. I really want to get those harvest lights because they were really, really cool. Just kind of all kinds of neat stuff. So we spent about an hour in there, and it was, again, we didn't spend a lot of money because we didn't really have a lot, because my wife got paid the week before vacation, but a lot of our bills came due, so we didn't really have a lot of money. So we we made lunches, and we had a suite at the hotel. So we had a refrigerator and, like, you know, kitchen table and microwave and stuff like that, so we could do stuff in there. And plus we had free breakfast at the hotel. So we made lunches when we went to Williamsburg and Busch Gardens and ate them there, and had snacks and stuff in there. So we didn't have to worry about that. So we just really paid for dinner, and that was really all. So then Thursday, we go to Colonial Williamsburg. Now, it's been years since I've been to Colonial Williamsburg, and to be honest, I don't really remember the last time I'd been in Colonial Williamsburg. Now, I'm a history major guy, so I thought, okay, this is going to be kind of cool. Again, brutally hot, a lot of walking, and the kids are getting a little antsy a little bit because it's not exciting stuff. I mean, it's some pretty cool stuff, but after a while, it just seemed like, you know, not being able to spend any money and just seeing the same old stuff over and over again, and being so hot. And we took tours of the palace and the court and some other stuff as well. It just was a lot of walking, and it just tired me out. And just, it wasn't as exciting as I would have thought it would have been for me. Now, maybe we go back in the winter, not winter, but the fall or something like that, where it's a little bit cooler out. Maybe be a different story. I mean, it was still interesting to see the horses and see, basically it's like a Renaissance fair, but for colonial times, because you got all these houses that were the original houses in Williamsburg, and they're refurbished and redone as they were in the old days. And then there are shops you can go into. They have the Williamsburg Colonial root beer, which I wanted to try, but again, couldn't afford to get any. And lots of demonstrations and stuff like that. And there was a maze and some people dressed up in costumes, and it's a big area, and just lots of walking, but just again the immense heat just sucking the life out of you, and just made it rough. Now that day, and on the Tuesday we were at the zoo, and Monday we were at the Smithsonian. Summertime in Mid-Atlantic, right around 3 or 4 o'clock every one of those days, we got a rainstorm. Now, the first one on Monday, the rainstorm came while we were inside the Native American Museum, so we weren't caught in that. We got the aftermath of that, where when you walk outside, it's already been hot and humid. Now, after the rain, you think, oh, it's going to cool it off. No, actually, it made it worse, because the humidity was now like double because of the rain on the wet sidewalks and roads. Then Tuesday, a thunderstorm rolled through while we were outside at the zoo, so we had to hide in the ape house for a little bit. Then we thought it cleared up a little bit, but then we ran over to the small mammal house, and we were stuck there for like 45 minutes waiting for the rain and thunders to stop. And there's only so many times you can see the cute, lovable small mammals. So that was kind of annoying also, because I wanted to get home. I wanted to get back to, because that was Tuesday and we were going to head back to our house. I wanted to drive back. I had to drive back home. And I wanted to get back home in time, and I was tired and worn out because, again, walking in the heat and sun both days was rough. And then Colonial Williamsburg, we got rainstorm again when we were inside the courthouse, seeing what court rooms were like in the colonial times. And we went out there and got stuck in a little bit of the rain and hung out at one of the farmers market things that had coverage. And then once it cleared up, we walked around, and again, just the humidity just sucked. So then we did that. And so we ended the day with the fife and drum marchers, and we left Williamsburg. Again, it was only like 10 minutes from our hotel, so it wasn't that bad of a ride. So we rode back to the hotel, and again, went to the pool, relaxed, chilled out. It was great. And then Friday, we did Busch Gardens, which I hadn't been to Busch Gardens since the 80s. Maybe 90s, early 90s. Regardless, it was when I was a teenager. And Busch Gardens, those who don't know, is it's an amusement park. But what makes it different than, say, a Hershey Park or King's Dominion or whatever, hi, Jinxie, my kitty's coming around to see what's going on, is that the park is divided in countries. And this is the way it's always been. When I was back there in the late 80s, early 90s, it was the same way. So you walk in, you have England, you have Ireland, you have Scotland, you have France, you have Italy, you have Germany, and I think that's all of them. Yeah, but then there's like Oktoberfest. So Germany and Oktoberfest were connected. And so every one of those areas, the buildings and the decorations and the music was all similar to what it's like in those countries. So you walk through England and you see like the English telephone, booths, like you see with Doctor Who and stuff like that. And then the British flag hanging all over, and these like cobblestone streets. And then you go across a bridge into Ireland, and you've got the Irish music going on, and these, clay sort of houses, not too big, a lot of pubs, around, stuff like that. Scotland, you hear the bagpipes and stuff like that. Germany, you hear the Oompa Oompa bands, and you see lots of flags waving and fountains and old school stuff like that. Italy had the Roman arches and fountains and statues of gods and stuff like that, and smells of garlic and wonderful food that they had there. And France was, typical French stuff. The funny thing about France was there was also a good bit of Canadian in that as well, even though there wasn't really a Canadian land in Busch Gardens. But there's actual whole store is all Canadian stuff. And all the rides have connections to that area. The names are, similar to the country's, names. Like there's the Der Fluger House or whatever, which is something in Germany, and then the Palace of Dragons was someplace else. But all kinds of, crazy wild stuff. They had lots of water. They had water slides and lots of roller coasters. Now here's the problem. Now my kids, my daughter's almost 12 and my son is almost 9, and we go to Hershey Park every year. Now, Hershey Park is great because you have the rides that are for the young kids. You have rides that are a little bit more expressive and fun for older kids. And then you've got the teenagers, 20-year-olds, and grown-up type of rides, which the kids don't want to do. And then they're too old for the kiddie rides. So now in Hershey Park, they got that little section where there's a bunch of rides they want to do. They'd never been to Busch Gardens before, and it's been years since Dawn and I had been there, so we didn't really know what was going on. There didn't seem to be that middle ground for the kids. You had the big, crazy roller coasters and crazy rides, and then you had some kiddie rides. Now, the other thing also is that Hershey Park is Hershey Park. It's all rides and places to get food and stuff like that. So it's in a water park. It's all one big, giant amusement park. Busch Gardens, meanwhile, and this is good too because it differentiates it from other amusement parks. Might not have had quite as many rides, but just the quality of the lands made it a unique feeling as well. So you don't feel like you were getting gypped because there weren't as many rides, but because there's less rides, there's not that middle ground where the kids can, sort of grow into do something because they don't want to take the really, really big roller coasters. They're afraid of them, and the kiddie stuff is too kiddie for them. So the beginning was a little rough because nobody wanted to go on any of the rides, and that was kind of upsetting Dawn a little bit because she wanted to go on and do all this stuff because she wants to do that type of things. But we can't leave our kids by themselves for us to do all this stuff, particularly in a big park like Busch Gardens. And again, hot, humid, sunny, oppressively hot and humid times, lots of people around. So that first couple hours was a little rough, but once we found, particularly in Germany and a little bit of Italy, we found some rides that the kids really, really enjoyed. So they got sort of back into the happiness and feeling of it, and so we did that. We did the Rough Rapids one, which is almost like a lazy river type of thing. You go around, there's rapids, people shoot water at you. You're going to get soaked because you go through waterfalls and stuff. But we had a mother and her daughter with us as also because you need about 6 people on a raft. And it's probably one of the more popular rides. So we waited for about probably half an hour to get to this position, but it was hot. And we thought, okay, this would be great. It'd be wet and stuff like that. So we finished the ride and we're soaking wet and the latch doesn't take. And the people who are running say, hey, do you want to go again? And I was like, yeah, we'll do it. So we actually did it twice without having to get out, which probably pissed off the people who were waiting in line. But you know what? It happens. So we went back around again and got completely soaked again. And we didn't have towels and stuff like that. We weren't expecting to do that. So eventually we lashed properly and we got out. So we did it twice. And so it was right around lunchtime, and you can't bring food into Busch Gardens, obviously, because it's a business and they want you to eat their food and pay their exorbitant prices, which I'll go on a rant on in about a second. But you could leave the park, go to your car, have a picnic lunch outside the park, and then come back in. You just got to get your hand stamped. So we did that. So we're walking. So where this rapids part was like the furthest part of the park. So we had to walk across all the way, almost the entire park, to get back to where our car was. In our drenched, soaking wet clothes, the shirt was like clinging to me. My pants were soaking wet. My shoes were wet. My socks were wet. My underwear was wet. And the same with the kids. My hair was all wet. Glasses had stains on, stuff like that. We had a backpack. It was all wet. But it was fun. It was worth it. So we got back to the car. We had our lunch and came back in and did a few more things and left. The kids wanted to stay till like 10 or 11. I was like, I really don't want to, because again, life sucking thing is like, there's only so much we can do. And there's only so many times I want to do these rides. And I don't really feel like waiting in line because the crowds got bigger as the day progressed. So we got out again, only about 10, 15 minutes away from our hotel room. So we drove back home. We got Pizza Hut and then came home and just went to bed early because we had to get up and leave early on Saturday to come back home. I'll talk to what happened on this weekend in a second, but I just want to go off on a little rant here real quick. Now, I understand this, and I explain it to my son, but it still makes me mad. And all parks do this, so it's not just Busch Gardens, but this just seemed a little bit more excessive to me. Not letting you bring food in, I get it. You're within a park environment, and if you don't let anyone bring food in, people are going to have to buy food from you. And you can jack up the prices, and water and drinks, stuff like that. You can jack up the prices to your liking and make some extra money. So like a soda would be like $3.50 for a soda. A bottle, 20 ounce bottle, but $3.50. A Gatorade, $3.98. One of these really, where the frig do you do $3.98? What the heck is that about? Food is like, $3 for a hot dog, $4 for a hamburger, French fries, stuff like that, and people were buying it because they had no other recourse. They're on vacation. Hey, we got lots of money. Why not spend it? But when you're on kind of a budget, it's not that easy for us. And we were able to bring in some water and stuff like that. But I wish I could have bought some soda or root beer or Gatorade or stuff like that after drinking one bottle, because it was so oppressively hot and humid, disgusting. But I couldn't because it was just too expensive. I didn't want to spend that much money on there. Also, the other thing is, now Hershey Park is cool where with their rides, if you have a backpack, you can put your backpack, when you get on the ride, there's like usually a little cubby area. So you just throw your backpack down and it'll sit there while you do your ride, your ride or whatever. And then when you come back, you pick up your backpack and you leave. Doesn't cost anything. At Busch Gardens, there are some rides that are like, you have to put your backpack in a locker or put it with somebody who's not riding the ride. You can't take it with you. The lockers cost $6 for 2 hours. Now, you can take it all over to the different places for that 2 hour period and use the $6 for that. But if you are there for more than 2 hours, you're going to have to re-up again. So that's another $6. If you want to do all the rides, or you can have somebody, while 3 members of your family go and do the ride, someone just standing off to the side doing nothing. Usually it was Dawn or I, because the kids, we can't have them sitting by themselves. So again, I get it. You need to make money, extra way to make money. I understand, yes. But your admission was already pretty high as it is. You've already got the food, and you've already got all the, shirts and toys and stuff like that, which are just as expensive. And now you're throwing lockers on there. Take a look at Hershey Park. They have little cubbies you can put stuff, doesn't cost you anything, or just throw it off to the side, and it'll be there, when you come back. And more than likely, no one is going to, try to go through your bag, because it's usually by where the big line of people are. So if someone's trying to go through their bag, you're like, hey, it's not your bag. What are you doing? They might get on them about it. And the riders are pretty good, but that's because Hershey Park's Hershey Park. Hershey Park's different than Busch Gardens. I like them both for various reasons. I like Busch Gardens because of the location and of the way of the different worlds and the different countries. And I like Hershey Park because it's close and it's got lots of rides and it's interesting. I could spend a whole day at Hershey Park. Busch Gardens is a little bit tough, I think, for me to do it because it's small and there's only so many rides the kids want to do. Whereas, you have a water park along with a bunch of other rides at Hershey Park. Plus you have Chocolate World you can go to also at Hershey Park. And I think they even, from what I recall, I think they allow us to bring in some food too. I'll have to double verify that, because I know there've been times we brought our food in. Maybe not. But I get why you do that. But I just wanted to go on a little bit of rant about that, particularly about the lockers. That's ridiculous. When we're so used to Hershey Park. It's like, yeah, just throw your shit there. It's okay. It'll be fine. Again, if anything happens, it's not our fault. And that's fine. I can understand that. But I'm not going to not go on a ride because I have to pay $6 for a locker. That's just dumb. End of rant. So that was that. The hotel was nice. They had breakfast for us every day. and that was good. Again, I said location was absolutely perfect. If we go back there again, which the kids want to do, and I know Dawn wants to also, we're going to get that hotel again, and we're going to get a suite again because it just worked out perfectly. And everything just was great, and everything was just so close. Plus, Yankee Candle Factory was wonderful. So we come back Saturday early because, as my episode title is, The Agony and the Ecstasy of Shinies. And you're all wondering, what the frig is that all about, Dylan? Well, if you are a Pokemon Go player like I am, and I'm going to go off on a Pokemon Go tangent, so please stick around. It'll be real quick, but I need to talk about this. Community Day, which I've talked about before on this show, which is something that Pokemon Go created at the beginning of this year, where one day a year, they pick a specific Pokemon, and for 3 hours, that Pokemon shows up all the freaking time, and you catch as many as you can. It has a special move that'll only be during that 3-hour period. So you catch as many of them as you can, and then you can evolve them. It'll have that special power. And then that's it for that. Plus, there's other stuff. They do. The eggs that you have to hatch, walk to hatch. Sometimes the distance you have to walk gets cut down, or the Stardust gets extra, the XP gets extra. So there's other stuff that goes on, which makes Community Day fun. So far we've done every Community Day, and all of them have been fairly good in their own ways. And we've tried to do different areas every time. Well, they threw a curveball this year. Or this month. August Community Day was actually a 2-day event. It was yesterday and today. And it was up to this point, it was either one of the starters or a Pokemon and a 10K egg were the special Pokemon. This one was one that's in a 5K egg that is one of the most unique Pokemon. It's Eevee. Now, Eevee is going to have sort of a renaissance, and is going to be almost as well known as Pikachu soon, because the Switch has new games coming out just in time for Christmas. I should name the episode Christmas. That's a Pikachu game and an Eevee game, which you can use to work together, and it can also connect to your Pokemon Go. So Eevee's going to become the lead of her own video game, his or her own video game. What makes Eevee special is that Eevee is the evolution Pokemon. Now, Pokemon evolve. Some have one evolution, some have two. So that means in the Pokemon Go game, if you get enough candies, you can evolve your Pokemon from its baby stage to its grown-up stage, or you can go from baby to adolescent to grown-up, depending on how much candies you have. And so that's part of the fun of the game, because you want to catch them all. That includes all the evolutions of one. So as I said, some have 3, some have 2. Like Pikachu has 2. Well, actually has 3. It has Pichu, which is the baby, Pikachu, which is the middle, and then Raichu, which is the big one. Now, also, all the Pokemon, there are like 16 or 12 different types. There's, I'll just give you ghost, water, fire, grass, rock, flying, fighting, ghost, dark, fairy, steel, a bug, and different. I can't think of any other ones off the top of my head. But there's different types. And so Pikachu is an electric type. That's another one, which means that its power set is usually something to do with electric. So it shoots out electrical stuff. And then the water ones shoot water, weapons and stuff like that out. Eevee herself is a normal type Pokemon, which is another one of the levels. But what makes her different than everybody else is you can evolve Eevee into any, well, not any because they haven't done them all, but into different types. So you have Eevee, who's normal, and you can evolve her into a water type, which is Vaporeon, fire type, which is Flareon, electric type, which is Jolteon, and then you also have the dark type, which is Umbreon, the psychic, which is another one type, which is Espeon. Then you have the grass one, which is Leafeon. You have the ice one, which is Glaceon. There's another one. And then you have the fairy one, which is Sylveon. And they look different. They have different power sets. They're different ways. So that's what makes Eevee really cool. Now, the Evolution is random, so you don't know what you're going to get when you evolve an Eevee. Now, there are tricks in Pokemon Go to get an Umbreon and a Espeon, and then Gen 4, which we haven't gotten yet, we're going to get sometime this year, has Leafeon and Glaceon, which is an ice and grass type. And they get their powers from special items. So we're thinking that those special items are going to be put in the game, and that's going to be able to evolve them, unless if you have one of those special items. Now, as for the other ones I just told you about, Sylveon isn't going to be for years because she's Gen 7, so she's way down the line. But Jolteon, Vaporeon, and Flareon, you can get each one of those when you first start playing the game by typing in the trainer name. That there's this little, if you go to like cheats, you'll be able to find it. You'll be able to get them, but after that, it's random. So now you just got to do it randomly. So this Eevee Community Day was 2 days, since there are so many different evolutions you can do. And these community days have also brought about something called Shinies. Now, Shinies are not anything special in the game. They don't make the Pokemon any different, except it looks different. It's a different color, a different shade. A good example is Espeon in the Eevee Espeon. Regular Espeon is like a purple color. A shiny is a puke green, neon green color. But, shinies are fun ones you want to try to get just to continue bulking up your little Easter egg type of things to do. You can get them in the wild, but again, it's really hard to find them in the wild. But these events like Community Day, they give you a better shot of getting these shinies. So it's something that people really, really want to do. So that's another reason why you do Community Day. So you want to get shinies. So you want to catch as many of the shiny Eevees, which Eevees usually is brown and yellowish type of Pokemon. The shiny of it is like a pale whitish gray. And if you catch one of those, then you'll evolve it into the different Eevees, and they have different colors. Like Vaporeon goes from blue to purple. Flareon's just a darker orange. Jolteon is a sickly green, not as sickly as Espeon, which is like a neon green. Umbreon, which is black, but has, I think it's blue stripe now instead of a yellow stripe on it. So you get all these. So that's why you want to catch the shinies. Now, I've been having not so great luck with shinies. So as I said, shinies come out more during Community Days. So Pikachu was the first one in January, and I got a bunch of shinies then. I think I had like 5 or 6 shinies then. That was pretty cool. But then every single, and then we did Larvitar. No, not Larvitar. Then we did what did we do? Dratini. Dratini was the second one we did. That one I got a bunch also. I got probably, again, like 5 or 6 of them. But then after that point, all the other ones, the Larvitars and the Squirtles and the Charmanders and stuff like that, my shiny totals would range between 1 and 3. Which kind of upset me because some of these had 3 evolutions, and I only had enough to do 1 or 2. And so that kind of pissed me off. But que sera, sera. So with this new Eevee stuff, I was hoping that I'd get, I'd probably end up getting about the same 3 of them over the 2-day period. I wasn't expecting a whole lot of them. Well, Saturday, after we came back from Williamsburg, we were back by about, 12 o'clock, I guess, 1 o'clock. No, it was 12 o'clock. And the kids wanted to stay in because they'd been traveling. It took another 4 hours to get home also. They've been traveling all day. They've been wore out, so we let them stay home by themselves, but Dawn and I wanted to go out and do some Eevee hunting for Community Day. So we went to Hunt Valley. Let the kids alone from 2 to 5. They were fine. They were playing video games and watching their tablets, so they were good. We had doors locked. The air conditioning was on, so they were relaxed. Nothing else was on. No ovens, no anything like that. It was just, and they were fine. So we go to Hunt Valley, which is a really big Pokemon Go hunting spot. There's lots of gyms, lots of Pokestops, and lots of Pokemon spawn there. At the end of the 3-hour period, I end up with 10 shiny Eevees. Dawn, who is the bigger player and the more vicious player and the one who is the way above where I am, she got 3. So she was kind of pissed at me about that. So we were planning for today. Her sister Catherine and her two boys, they're twins, they all play Pokemon Go. We were going to meet up with them at Centennial Park in Columbia and do some more for the second day of the EV Community Day, which was 2 to 5 today. And we were hoping we were going to get, Dawn was hoping she's going to get more EVs, more shiny EVs. And I was hoping I was going to get more because I evolved a couple of my shinies last night. I evolved half of them, 5 of them. All 5 were Jolteon. Remember what I said? They're random evolutions. But I already wasted half of my shinies on one Pokemon. Now, luckily, trading has been most recently, I talked about this in my show a couple weeks ago, most recently been added to the game. And Dawn evolved one of hers, and she got a Vaporeon, so we traded Jolteon for Vaporeon. So that was kind of nice. So then we go to Centennial today with her sister, and my brother-in-law was there too, and their 2 kids. And the 2 kids, they hadn't seen their cousins in a long time. So my son and his 2 cousins, they went and goof off and played around. Noelle, meanwhile, wanted to do more Pokemon Go and hanging out with Aunt Catherine because she loves her Aunt Catherine. And so we walked around Centennial Park, which is a really nice park in Columbia. At the end of it all, and we got some rain, came in probably the last hour of the event. By the end of the day, I had only gotten 2 more shinies. I think Dawn got 4. Noelle got 4, I think, and Noah got 1. I think Catherine got a couple. And the boys share an account. I think they got 1, maybe 1 or 2. But going from 10 on Saturday, half already been evolved to Jolteon. 2 more to try to get back what I missed there. It was kind of a kick in the balls. And that's why it's called the Agony and the Ecstasy. Now, I probably should have expected that. But again, with the advent of trading, but now I'm afraid to evolve my Eevees. So I'm afraid I'm going to get all Jolteons, and I don't want all Jolteons. I'd like to get at least 1 Flareon, and I'd like to get at least 1 Vaporeon that I evolved. But here's the thing also. I now have 7 that I can evolve. One of them is crappy. It's a CP of 11, combat power of 11. I'm going to keep that one just as my Eevee. So that leaves me 6. Now, Espeon and Umbreon, I can get pretty easily by walking them as my buddy and then evolving them day for Espeon, night for Umbreon. So I've already got my Espeon shiny, so I'm going to walk my Umbreon one over the next couple days, and I will get my shiny Umbreon. That leaves me 4. 4. Now we also have, as I said, Glaceon and Leafeon are coming up in Gen 4, coming up in a few months. Now, do I wait and hold them to maybe try to get them as shinies? Are they even going to have shiny forms of them? I'm pretty sure they would, but because they haven't been put in the game yet, I don't know. Now, if I hold on to those 2 and wait on that, hopefully if I said, it won't be a random evolution, you're going to have to get something for them to evolve. If I can do that, that won't be a problem. That leaves me 2. Probably the 2 that I got today that I can evolve. So, the Agony, the Ecstasy of Shinies. It was great getting 10, because I've never gotten that many before. Then evolving them and getting 5 Jolteons, half of them Jolteons, was just like, why do you hate me? Now, here's the other thing, but then because they're totally random, getting the shinies. I don't know how half of these people that Dawn knows from our various groups have gotten 14 and 30 and 27 shinies in one day. How do you do something like that? Because there is no way to tell if it's shiny or not. There is no way you can make it a shiny. You just click on every Eevee you see, and you might get lucky. So how do these people get 27 of them in a day? Why can't I get 27 in a day? I got 10 in a day, and that's nice. It's a good start, but I would have wished for more. NASA stuff. NASA launches the fastest spacecraft in history into the sun. It got launched recently, so it's not going to hit the sun for a little while, but sending the fastest spaceship in history into the sun, isn't that kind of counterintuitive? But in the end, you're doing what you want to do. You're getting information about the sun that you might not be able to get otherwise because it is so freaking hot. So before this explodes into the sun, you're going to get lots of readings and cool stuff. And who knows, maybe they built enough that they'll get a lot more before it explodes. NASA also spots a vast glowing hydrogen wall at the edge of our solar system. That's just a neat thing. A giant wall of hydrogen at the edge of our solar system. Almost like, don't you enter our solar system unless you want to go through this wall of hydrogen. It's sort of similar to what's going on in DC Comics right now. They have something called the Source Wall, which is something that was created by Jack Kirby, I think. And Scott Snyder, the writer of Justice League right now, he has broken down the Source Wall. So all these weird alternate dimension things are coming into the DC universe and causing all kinds of havoc. Now, that's just a really cool idea, the cool visual of a glowing hydrogen wall at the edge of our galaxy is just really, really cool. A heat wave, as I was saying, it's so freaking hot. It's been so freaking hot this week. A heat wave is being blamed for an increase in paranormal activity in Cornwall, England. You know, I never really thought that temperature would influence spiritual activity, but hey, maybe it does. That reminds me, since I'm in the 10 o'clock hour, may as well do this. 30-year-old woman says she is in a serious relationship with a ghost she met on holiday. She's in a serious relationship with a ghost. And apparently wants to have a baby with the ghost. How the hell would you have sex or even a relationship with a ghost? Now, if you've drawn the ghost to you and the ghost is hanging around you, that's cool. But is the ghost talking to you? Is the ghost watching you eat? Is the ghost able to touch your naked body? Are you able to touch its ghostly naked body too? Or are you just looking at it? Is the ghost hanging around you? I have so many questions, and I don't think I'm ever going to get any answers. Jeez. You know what? All right, I'm talking about some crazy old people. Maybe crazy people in general. A deceased New Mexico couple have been called the greatest art thieves ever when, after their deaths, the family or whatever was going through their house, they discovered $160 million worth of stolen paintings found in their home. $160 million worth of paintings stolen by this couple who never got caught and were probably never suspected either. And they found it after they passed away. That's just really cool. It's really interesting. Also, speaking of old people, an elderly man escapes from his nursing home. The police find him at a heavy metal concert. Just wanted to go and bang some head a little bit. I'm going to get out of that place and do some rock and roll. Yeah. That's a pretty neat idea. An Ohio man showers naked in the street after a water main break. There's actually a picture of it too. The guys who are trying to fix the water main break have this like roll their eyes look while this dude is naked behind them and the water is shooting out. He's underneath it taking a shower naked. That's just wrong and weird. Weird. a flask bracelet. I saw this on Facebook. It's a bracelet that is a flask. So it's a big bracelet. You put alcohol in it, and you take the top off and go, and then put the top back on. No one will never know. It looks like a decorative bracelet. Nichelle Nichols of Star Trek has dementia, which is kind of sad, but she is getting older, and it's something that happens to older people. Charlotte Rae of Facts of Life and Different Strokes passed away at the age of 92 this week. Kind of remember her a little bit, particularly from Facts of Life. I think she was one of the regulars on there, and she was basically kind of a spin-off from Different Strokes, with her character was running this all-girls school type of thing. The Charmed reboot, which I've talked about a little bit on my other show, has brought in a real witch to be on their writing staff. So, that in itself might actually be interesting, because now you're getting a perspective of what it's like to be a witch, an actual real witch. I mean, granted, we know that these real witches probably do not have the powers that most witches do in movies and stuff like that. But the fact is, they can verify language and beliefs and what they would do in a certain situation here and there. And that's kind of a cool idea. Man being chased by a baby squirrel calls the police for help because he was afraid the baby squirrel was going to get him. A baby squirrel. He called the police to help him. Yeah. I should put this with my NASA stuff, but the Perseid meteor shower is going on probably right now. It always has been the best meteor shower of the year, with hundreds of meteors falling every hour. I might go back out there a little bit later tonight just to check it out. But it's going to be especially good this year because it's at the same time as new moon, which means you're not going to have the drowning out of the moonlight. Now, granted, if you live in a city or a town, we have some light pollution. You're not really going to probably see as many. But if you can go out to some sort of country spot with not a lot of light around it, with no moon out there, you'll probably see a good amount of them falling from the sky. So go on outside right now after you watch the show, check it out. Probably all night. So if you're a night owl, check it out every few hours. If you get up in the middle of the night to go to the bathroom, whatever, look out your window, see if you can see some falling. You might, you never know. And I think you can go online and you can see it actually in reality. Fall is coming. I talked a little bit about the first pumpkin spice stuff I saw in grocery stores last week. Well, now they're announcing pumpkin spice frosted flakes, which actually sounds pretty good. And I might actually try them because I like the pumpkin spice flavor. I'm not obsessive about it, but I like it. And I like frosted flakes. I want to kind of try to see what it tastes like. That might be kind of interesting. More people are living in their cars now because they can't afford a house or apartment. It's affordable housing if you own a car. I guess if you belong to a gym also, I suppose you can use their shower to shower, get dressed, whatever. But, you live in your car, you can sleep. I guess if you're in a safe enough neighborhood, I guess you can do it. But it's kind of sad when you're don't have a lot of money and you have to end up living in your car. And that's maybe not be entirely your fault, but it could be. It's kind of tough. 79 days to Halloween. Just had to mention that. I'm going to go off on a tangent there for a second. Monkey dust is the new street drug that all the kids are using, which, according to the article, which is really clickbait, turns you into the Incredible Hulk. Basically, it means it turns you into a violent and gives you some psychotic outbursts. So just watch out for that. Monkey dust is a new thing out there. Chris Pine and Chris Hemsworth are exiting Star Trek 4 over contract talks. Hopefully they'll work something out because I really couldn't see anyone else playing Captain Kirk as Chris Pine. And the time travel storyline would have been perfect with Chris Hemsworth playing his dad, and had two really good actors together playing off each other. It might have been a lot of fun. So we'll see what happens. Ruby Rose has been cast as Batwoman in the CW show. Ruby Rose is a lesbian actress who's appeared in Orange is the New Black and a few other things as well. And as is the way things are nowadays, all the whiny fanboys out there who think that she's a wrong fit or whatever are screaming and calling her names, stuff like that, forced her to leave social media. So that's kind of depressing. But I think, and she might not necessarily be the best actress in the world, but you know what? She might surprise you. Just give her a shot here and there. And just see Batwoman is a very interesting character, and she might be able to pull it off. You never know. You'll never know unless you watch it. HGTV has bought the Brady Bunch house. I mentioned last week, I think, that the Brady Bunch house, the iconic house that you always saw the exterior of, which is actually in Culver City, California. They just picked that one when they were filming the show. In the 70s, they thought it was the ideal house that this family would live in. So they filmed a bunch of exterior shots of it, but the interior was completely different than what you saw in the TV show. The TV show was set. So it somehow fit the house, but the exterior of the house was always famous. So that house was in Culver City, California, and it's iconic just for the exterior because the interior looks completely different. But it's looked the same since the 70s, and so the guy who owned it, the family who owned it before, they've sold it to HGTV. HGTV has bought the house. And what they're going to do is they're going to refurbish the interior to make it mirror what was on the TV show. So basically, they're moving the Brady Bunch set into the actual house, and turn it into some sort of museum, or maybe they'll sell it to somebody. Say, hey, you want to live in the Brady Bunch house? It's literally the Brady Bunch house because it looks exactly like it was on TV. There you go. If you want that, check that out. Probably worth millions. This was a fairly new story that I read a little bit. This is a few hours before I went on air. Bionic contact lenses are coming. It's supposed to be 3 times better than 2020. It's a procedure similar to cataract surgery. They'll inject something into your eye area, and it'll float over your eye and create the bionic contact. I don't know if you're going to be able to take it out. That I'm not sure about, but it's supposed to make your eyesight 3 times better than 2020, which I think they basically said if you can read something from 10 feet away, you can read it from 40 feet away now with this new procedure. So we'll see. And you hear all kinds of stuff like this all the time. The Oscars made some news this week and made my friend Lisa Marie Bowman not too happy, and I can kind of see why. They made some news this week. They're going to make some changes to the Oscar telecast. First up, they are launching a new category, which they haven't done in a while, which will be the 25th of the Oscars. And it's going to be for the most popular film category, which is a plea to get people to watch their show because they've been hemorrhaging viewers for years, because all the films that get nominated are films that JQ Public, like myself, I'll be honest, I'm not as big of a film guy as I used to be before I got married, so I don't actually have a chance to actually go out and see all these films. That John Q. Public, they don't want to see. Why should I watch this show that's never ends? Goes till midnight, over midnight sometimes, and just keeps going and going and going for movies that I've never heard of, never seen before, or whatever. Why should I watch it? Well, now they're going to have popular film, which means the films that I guess there's going to be some sort of criteria, like films that have made over $200 million or $100 million or whatever can get nominated for this, which means you can get this year's nominees could be like the new Mission Impossible movie, Avengers, Infinity War, Black Panther. If there's Jumanji, any of these films that made a lot of money will be nominated for this and win when you vote for. So, hey, Black Panther has won Best Popular Film. So it could say, we won an Oscar for Best Popular Film. Turn off your video chat or block that troll. It's getting ugly at Hollidill. I don't know what you're talking about, Pinky, but okay. Anyway, maybe you're catching up on it. So you have that, which kind of, I'm not sure. I mean, it's good to get more people to come in and watch the show, I guess. the fact is, being nominated for Best Popular Film, does that mean it might not get nominated for anything else? Or like for the prestigious ones, like would Black Panther not get nominated for Best Picture if it's been nominated for Best Popular Film? I hope that doesn't happen, because I really think it would be a crime if Black Panther does not get nominated for set design, costumes, and other stuff as well. But is that going to cause some of these films, like let's say like a Titanic? If we had this category when Titanic was around, or even Lord of the Rings, would they have been nominated for Best Picture, or would they just say, okay, we're going to nominate it here, and then we can add another prestigious film here? So I don't know. So that's to be continued. We'll see. That's going to start March 9th, I guess, is when the new one is, or 19th or something like that. It's sometime in March of 2019. I keep forgetting it's 2018 now. 2019 is when that's going to come into play. They're going to keep it at 3 hours. Now that's good. I've been saying you should do that for a while. But how they're going to keep it at 3 hours, I'm not a big fan of, and that's the third change they made. The third change they made is some awards will be given out during commercial breaks. So we won't see it live. They'll be filming it, but we won't see it live while we have these 5 minutes of commercials that the Oscars always seem to have. And then when you come back to live, we'll do more regular awards, like the big ones. And then maybe later in the show, by that time, the director will have been able to edit out, the speech and the applause and the walking up to the stage and so on and so forth, and drop in. So Best Documentary is won by Joe Gibbs. Joe Gibbs is up there. Hi, and thank you for this. It's been a great honor. Thank you very much. Bye-bye. And out the door. You saw it, even though you didn't see it live. I'm not a big fan about that. I kind of want to see the stuff live. That's what makes the stuff interesting, is seeing the reactions live and in person. If you want to cut down on the time, and Lisa Marie Bowman backs me up on this one. It was actually her idea. She mentioned it, but I just happened to agree with her, and I was on the same page even before I saw what she wrote. If you want to keep it at 3 hours, dump all this extraneous stuff like last year's, or this year's rather, I should say. I don't even see who that troll is. So, okay, so there apparently was a troll watching. I can't see anything because I don't see any of the chat. So, just see if you made it in the chat. Nope, nothing in the chat. So what's going to happen then is, what you need to do is just get rid of some of the extraneous stuff. Like, as I said earlier this year, when they did the Oscars, they did that whole bit where they took all these stars across the street to a movie theater that was watching A Wrinkle in Time, and brought pizza and presents and stuff and stuff like that. And they spent literally like 10 minutes on these stars going across the street, mingling with the common folk in a movie theater. And okay, so I don't know what's going on here. A movie theater, and just spent 10-15 minutes doing all this weird stuff, Oh, great. Oh, well. Well, price you pay. I'll see what I can do after the show. I'm in the middle of it doing live, so I'll see what I can do about getting rid of the troll. So, hello, Mr. Troll, if you're watching. You're a disgusting human being from what I read, and thank you, Pinky, for catching the guy for me. I'll see what I can do to take him out. And if you don't give a fuck, then just don't watch the show. I don't give a fuck if you watch the show or not. Get out of my show. I don't care. so then you have that stuff where you could do that. And I mean, I like some of the, memories, sci-fi movies, 20 years, 100 years of sci-fi and stuff like that. Some of those are pretty good. But a lot of the extraneous stuff, you can just cut out a lot of stuff. You can cut out a lot of the jokes and the long stuff, and try to tighten up things as well. So thank you, Pinky. I appreciate you watching out for me. So we can try to get Oscars to calm down a little bit. That'll be good. And if they can keep it 3 hours, but you don't have to, not show some of the awards. Just show all the awards then, and do all this other extraneous stuff later if you feel you have some time. Just do all the awards first, and then if you have like 15 minutes to spare, then you can do some goofy stuff or whatever. I don't care. Just do something different. You're keeping it at 3 hours, that's good, but you don't have to do it where you don't show everybody getting their awards at the same time. It's not great. Stephen King's son believes Jaws may contain a clue to solving an unsolved murder. Apparently, this was something big when he was younger. So Jaws' film, let's say, came out in 1975. So let's just say, hypothetically, it started filming 1973, 1974. So Stephen King's son, Joe Hill, was a young kid at that age. And he remembers that, I guess it was Nantucket, wherever they were filming it, that there had been a unidentified murder took place on the dunes, not necessarily during the filming, but they were filming the movie at that time. And so it just happened to be that a news story happened that someone got brutally murdered, in that town where they were filming the movie, that had nothing to do with Spielberg or anything like that. It was just a random act of violence. And the body was found on a sand dune. And I think from what I read of the article, the person was not found. I mean, you could not identify the person. And it was hard to, all they had was the clothes, and they knew it was a woman, and they had sort of an idea of what the woman looked like. So they did like a mock-up of what they thought it looked like, because I think she was either shredded or something was really bad. You couldn't tell who she was. And it was an unsolved murder. And Joe Hill became, I don't know, obsessed is the right word with it, but he became interested in the story growing up, and had always remembered it and heard about it. It was a big deal up that way. I'd never heard of it until this point. So I guess recently he was watching Jaws, and because he was still obsessed with it, he knew about stuff, and there was a mock-up of a picture of what they thought the person looked like, and the outfit they were wearing. And he was watching Jaws, and then something caught his eye, and like he paused the movie, and he looked in the crowds of extras. There was a woman who was wearing what appeared to be the same outfit of the woman who was found murdered, an unidentified woman, and had similar description. And he thinks that this extra is the one that got murdered. And so I guess we're going to do more research on that to try to figure out who this person was and see if their hunch is right, see if this person is still alive somewhere, or if they passed away in 87 or 92 or 2001, or if they're still alive, or if he's completely off base, or, that's the interesting part, he could be right. And he could have just solved a murder that's been a cold case for close to 45 years, 43 years, technically. So that's kind of a neat story. I have one viewer, so I'm assuming it's you, Pinky. So let's see. Thanks again for let me know about the person. I'll look into it after the show. Not much I can do on the show because I'm not really that computer literate. So I'm just going to keep talking and doing my show, and hopefully I can take care of it on my end later on. I'm going to talk about something. I'm going to go a little bit of a rant a little bit. Daniel Acuna Jr. is a baseball player. He plays for the Mets or something like that. I'm not exactly sure who he plays for. He plays for a professional baseball team. He plays for the Braves. I'm sorry, he plays for the Braves. Okay. In the middle of the game, he learned that his mother has passed away. Now, you're in the middle of a game, so it's already tough as it is. You're trying to be focused on the game, trying to help your team win, but you just lost your mom. And they were showing, when you're watching it on TV, the cameras, because the game isn't always going on, so they're trying to just get you for feeling what's going on in the stadium, going to the stands and looking in the dugout and seeing the players, interacting and stuff like that. Well, the cameraman focused in on Daniel Acuna when he was in the dugout, being consoled. He was crying and being hugged by a teammate, being consoled by a teammate because he just found out his mother passed away. And the awful television announcers were making all kinds of stupid jokes, because the guy was rubbing his head and was consoling him. He lost his mother and he's crying and weeping. And so these announcers were making fun of him for all intents and purposes for crying and for having this guy rub his head and stuff like that, saying, "Oh, look at that. They're really close. Look at that. They're a really close-knit team. Yeah, blah, blah, blah." The guy just lost his mother. Thank you, Pinky. The guy just lost his mother. You need to back off. Okay? Everyone has this view that men can't show emotions or be emotional, and it shows some sort of weakness, which is BS. And might also be the reason why we're having a lot of the issues we're having nowadays, because more men are not showing emotions. Now, you could say, actually, I'm not going to say anything because I don't want to get any more trouble, but there are things that can happen where you feel like you're not getting enough love from a parent, and you feel you have to be strong about it, even though you're hurting inside, and that in turn gives you your viewpoint for the rest of your adult life, that you're trying to live up to not disappointing your parents and being a real man, and that if you show any types of weakness or crying or whatever, you're weak and your parents are not going to love you. That's ridiculous. It's total BS. The thing that really drives me crazy is that these announcers were making these stupid jokes. The dude just lost his mother. He was being consoled by a teammate. Have a heart, you sons of bitches. I'm going to get a little blue here. Little sexy, weird, sexy stuff. Doctors are telling women to not stick wasps' nests up your, hoo-ha, whatever you want to call it. I saw that headline. I was like, really? Apparently it's some sort of new, I don't know if it has wasps in it, but apparently it's some sort of thing to help. I don't know what it is. It's really hard to say. I had to mention it just because I like weird stuff like that. Not that I want to see that, but just it was such a weird headline. And it's like, really? And that goes for this one also. Camel toe underwear. I mean, really? I mean, even I find camel toes to be kind of disturbing. And now you want to have underwear that accentuates it? Whew, okay, that's enough of that. I don't want to get any more trouble here. I saw this in Williamsburg. There's also comic books now that are teaching children history. There are 12 different ones. There was one at one of the Williamsburg gift shops about colonial times, I guess. But it's really cool that they're using comic books now to help teach history. I think that's a really cool idea. And that's it for all my regular stuff. Now I'm going to do a few things here real quick. For those who haven't seen my show recently, I introduced a new segment when I have them called In Dreams, where I tell my dreams real quick about what I've been dreaming about. This one came from when I was on vacation. Tom Cruise was mad at me because he thought I killed his son. And I remember this distinctly. Tom Cruise is down on this lower level. his son is like a baby, I guess, is on the floor. I'm on this upper level, and I turn on like a water fountain or whatever, and the water shoots out and lands on the baby, and the baby drowns. I don't know. It's dreams. I don't know. But he was mad at me, and I tried to make good with him, and he seemed to be okay with me for a little while, but he was always talking about me behind my back, stuff like that. Well, one day I walk into this room, and he's got a group of people. He's talking in hushed tones, obviously about me, and he stops when I come in, or rather, he doesn't know I came in, and over sitting in the chair near him is my mother-in-law. My mother-in-law is saying, yeah, we're related, but we don't really like him that much, or something like that. I was like, damn, thanks for selling me out, mom-in-law. So that was just a weird dream I had. And then last night, I had a dream that every year there is a zombie uprising, I guess would be the thing. For about a week, the undead come up out of their graves and attack people. And then you kill them all, and then you rebury them, and they don't come back, and then other dead people come up a year later, stuff like that. But it's a constant flow. And I was interviewing not the actual one, but the character of Cordelia Chase from Buffy the Vampire Slayer, played by Charisma Carpenter. She looked like Charisma Carpenter, but she was Cordelia. And Buffy was out there fighting the zombies with some other people. And so we were in this school, and everything was, okay. The zombies were outside. They were getting beat up, and they were not being able to come in, and the people who were in there were protecting us. So, Cordelia was running stuff in there. She was a very sweetheart, unlike the Cordelia we saw on the TV show. She was a sweetheart, and I was talking to her about stuff, and we were talking. It's good to, they made a show about you guys, but you're killing vampires. And I discussed how the characters were in relation to what was in real life. It's like, oh yeah, I'm not really like that at all. And Buffy's not really like that at all. And Angel wasn't really like that at all. And there was no Oz, and Willow was a witch. What are you talking about? That wasn't the case there. And Xander was a soldier, ROTC guy, so like that. So it was just kind of a weird, fourth wall type of breaking down thing. It was just kind of interesting. So the dreams I had recently. Anniversaries we have this week. We have Coyote Ugly is 18 years old this week. Halloween H2O is 20 years old, so I got to pick that up again on Halloween. You got the new Halloween movie coming out in October anyway, so that'll be a good thing to check out. Risky Business was 36 years ago. The Sixth Sense was 19 years ago. That was a great movie. Hip hop started 45 years ago in 1973, so the hip hop music started back then. Cujo is 35 years old. Heavy Metal, the animated adult cartoon, is 37 years old. Better Off Dead, one of the best movies out there, is 33 years old. Straight Outta Compton, the song, is 30 years old. 30 years old. Wow. Stand By Me was 32 years ago, and that reminds me, Will Wheaton will be at the Baltimore Comic-Con this fall, so that'll be kind of cool. I might go down there to see him. That'd be kind of neat. Transformers, the movie, also is 32 years ago, so obviously they came out the same week. Masters of the Universe, the Dolph Lundgren live-action version with Frank Langella, Skeletor, came out 31 years ago. I think Courtney Cox was in that as well. The TV show What's Happening, one of my favorite shows growing up, premiered 42 years ago. And Young Guns, a truly, I think, underrated film series, came out 30 years ago. So there's that. I'm going to do this real quick, and then I'm going to go to bed. My check-eye day, my holidays for the week. I'm going to follow up what's going on. Check-eye day, there we go. So August 13th is tomorrow. I'll deal with them later. August 12th. Here we go. August 12th is Baseball Fans Day. That's today. IBM PC Day, International Youth Day, National Julienne Fries Day, National Middle Child's Day, National Sewing Machine Day, Truck Driver Day, Vinyl Record Day, World Elephant Day. Saturday the 11th was Annual Medical Checkup Day, Celebrate your Lakes Day, Ingersoll Day, National Bowling Day, National Day of Civic Hacking. Okay. National Garage Sale Day, National Model Aviation Day, National Raspberry Bombay Day, National Raspberry Tart Day, Play in the Sand Day, Presidential Joke Day, Son and Daughter Day. August 10th, which is Friday, was Duran Duran Appreciation Day, National Kool-Aid Day, National Lazy Day, National S'mores Day, National Shapewear Day, National Spoil Your Dog Day, Smithsonian Day, so we missed that by a few days, World Lion Day. And then tomorrow, the 13th, is Victory Day, National Prosecco Day, National Filet Mignon Day, International Left-Handers Day, and that is that. So that's what's going on with this. The show is over. Pinky, thank you for catching that guy. That's disgusting, the stuff he was saying. So thank you for catching him, and I'll see what I can do about getting him taken off and destroyed, as it were. And everybody else, thank you for watching. I'll be back probably sooner than later. I'll probably be back sometime this weekend. Who knows? I don't know what's going on. I haven't figured out what we're doing yet, so it'll be something, and I'll be there. My show, The Comic Haul, will be having a double haul probably sometime this week as well. 2 weeks worth of comic books I'll be talking about as well. Again, thank you, Pinky. Thank you, everybody else who was watching, except for you who made those disgusting comments. You can go to hell. You can go to hell and die.